I never do this for any podcast ever, I made a talking point on this one because I'm pissed off.
You know what's funny? I kind of found a few things interesting. I don't. I didn't expect what you said to make rounds because I
Oh
don't. I didn't
shit!
think.
It wasn't
I didn't.
disrespectful.
Well, first of all, I didn't think it was anything that hasn't been said before. I thought a lot of people.
By millions of people.
I thought that was the like at least back then, like what 10 years ago now. That's kind of what most people were saying. If anything, I thought it was kind of more. I don't think you said it to be in defense or to be against. But if anything, I thought Kai would see it as maybe defense because he recently said that he felt like Phil was protected, which would kind of would kind of work in line with him, right? If he felt that way, because if he felt Phil was protected, maybe he felt like he was maybe didn't get a fair shot. So I thought he would actually be like, yeah, kind of agree, like, yeah, I don't think, I don't know. I thought he would have probably liked the comment, maybe.
Oh, I've
I
got a few
don't.
talking points on that, but this could have just been very like, what's the word? It could have been very casual, and like I said, I made a full list of talking points. I didn't make it through his entire podcast, so I won't talk about anything that was said at the end because I simply just didn't watch it. I made it through about 10 to 15 minutes, somewhere in that range. There was like in the what do you call it? The timestamps? Yeah. It said
Yeah.
something about influencers, and that's where I stopped at, just because I didn't have time to finish it. But
Yeah. Well,
you know,
first of all, sometimes I don't know if people, I don't know if he might have just seen a specific clip. I don't know if right? Because sometimes maybe he didn't hear the whole thing. I don't know. Maybe he just saw one clip that
well,
he
he
just
got
saw.
interviewed. It appeared as if he was interviewed. There's specifically two things, oh, maybe more than two. There's like three things that kind of pissed me off, which is why I'm firing back at him. And I'm going to give him an offer at the end of this video, too. And you probably already know where that's going to go,
Mm-hmm.
knowing me. So if any of the fans here, because I've seen like some of the comments in our videos, it was like, Justin's so like angry. Well, if you don't like that, you should probably turn this off right now because it's gonna go the wrong direction. But we're losing my damn train of thought here. But like, none of this really should have went anywhere. But he was being interviewed by Generation Iron, and I actually am not a fan of Generation Iron. I have a feeling that company's probably got different management. Like, I don't want to talk bad about them because the people, well, I say person, not people. The person who reached out to me way back in 2015. Yeah, it was 2015 because the we I did the Arnold in 2016, which is where I competed against Kai. I'm going to point that out in a minute too, but like that's a different story. They wanted to do this. There's one side of me wishes I would have done it for the publicity, but I realized then, and I still say the same thing now. It wouldn't have benefited me, but they would have gotten the benefit from it. But they wanted to go around to all the competitors, or I assume all the competitors. That's how the story was sold to me, of where they were basically going to film like remember how the old in the trenches videos with MD, how
Mm-hmm.
they do a day in the life.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of sold to me. I mean, this is 10 years ago. Like they wanted to do like a day in the life video, and like we're going to fly someone to come and see you. We're going to film you in your house, cooking your meals, training, do whatever you do. And I said, okay, how much do I get paid? And I wasn't going to get paid. Now I know Kai was a sponsored athlete, or so I let me rephrase it. I don't know that to be factual. It seemed like it, and my peers around me said, he like because he's still the poster child of Generation Iron. Who else do they ever interview? They always interview him, right? It's been
Mm-hmm.
10 years, so he has some form of connection, and that's fine. That's cool. But here's the thing: I turned him down in 2015 because they didn't want to pay me anything. And the way I looked at it was this: you're going to come to my house, uproot my life, put a camera in my house, in my face, monitor everything that I do, and I get nothing. No, no, no. Well, I mean, it's different. Like when me and you do a podcast, or I do a podcast with Leo, or whoever I'm doing a podcast with, one, it's people that I know, it's people that I like. And now, if you were making $50,000 a podcast, I'd be like, "Hey, bro, come on, tip me like 500 or $700 for this shit." Like
Something, yeah.
give me some crumbs. Like, but you're not making that kind of money off this. And I know that they do have a large platform and that they do make money. So I feel like, as the guy who is contributing to that platform, you need to give back to the people who made you who you are. So I just simply declined their offer. So again, I don't want to shit talk on Generation Iron because the guy seemed very professional interviewing Kai. And Kai immediately, he started out with, you could tell he was pissed, but he never let on that he was pissed. Because he said, who? Like, who's Justin Compton? I'm like, okay, don't give me that bullshit. Just a year ago, we had about an hour-long conversation in Redcon, me and him, one-on-one. I'll get back to that momentarily as well. So it's not like, you're going to try to belittle my name and try to say, oh, you don't know who I am. He's not relevant. What has he done? Okay, well, I'll tell you what I've done for one. Remember when MD used to have, well, when MD was still a thing, I don't even think the website works anymore, does it? Muscular Development?
No, they shut down completely, I believe.
Yeah, I think the website's gone. But remember when you used to be able to click on contest photos?
Mm-hmm.
And on the sidebar, there was a section on the right where it has the top searched athletes.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know who the top searched athlete was? It was fucking me, not Kai, not Phil, not Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that I'm better than any of those guys, not to say that I'm better than Kai. Those words never once came out of my mouth. But don't sit here and act like you don't know who I am. So, one, you want to sit here and play that card. Fuck you. You're never going to get an apology out of me because I know he'll watch this video. And I hope someone clips both fingers to this as well because, again, this is not going to. So, I know a lot of people like to clip videos in order to just get a response out of the person that's being talked about because they don't watch the whole thing. And that's most likely what happened to Kai here. Is he probably didn't watch the video. I know he's a busy guy. This guy has his hands in multiple different things. He's probably, I mean, his phone is ringing off the hook nonstop. He's probably traveling here, traveling there. He don't have time to watch podcasts. And rightfully so. I mean, he's probably making millions of dollars. Why would he, right? But here's the thing. If you're going to respond to something and respond to it negatively, at least know what you're responding about. Like, don't just fire off if you don't know what it's about. Now, to kind of further that up, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself here. Like, I almost feel really bad about saying the things I'm saying. Keyword almost. I don't feel bad. Not now. If this conversation was like 2 days ago, I would have been praising Kai. Because when I was younger, I knew about Kai's past, and I simply didn't give a shit. I didn't care what a man does on his private time. I don't care what he does in his private life. One, I followed him because he's a bodybuilder. And two, I also like his personality. A lot of people don't like Kai's personality because he is very philosophical. And sometimes it can be a little bit much, but guess what? I talk too much too. So who am I to, that's like the pot calling the kettle black, right? So like I can't make fun of him for that. But I've always liked Kai. As a matter of fact, Kai was probably one of my favorite bodybuilders when I was a teenager. So, yeah, he made a comment about how all this happened when I was young. And yeah, it did happen. Guess what? Videos don't ever disappear. And unfortunately, I had to watch that shit because I thought it was a rumor. But the thing is, I saw it, a little bit grossed out by it, and then I just simply threw it out, threw it in the trash, and went on. Like, I didn't change my opinion about the guy. Never said that he was a shitty bodybuilder. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say some good things about Kai before I get to the nitty gritty. When we competed together in 2016, I genuinely believe that version of him, leading into the show though, I thought I was going to beat him because he was traveling, promoting his new supplement company and whatnot. I thought I was going to beat him because I figured he's not on his game. Boy, was I wrong. Damn, was I wrong. And I remember I've told this story on like 20 podcasts. We all get backstage. I knew I was off as well. And that was it's another topic, but I was off and I knew it. So my confidence was a little bit down. And then I look over and I see Kai taking his like jumpsuit, sweatsuit, whatever off. And I was just like, well, fuck me. It didn't matter how good I was going to be. I wasn't going to beat this guy no matter what. Like, I knew what I was looking at and was like, this looks like an alien. This doesn't look human. So, I mean, I knew I was beat, and I was okay with that. Like, you would probably hear me sing in a different tune if I lost to someone who should not have beaten me. But Kai killed everybody in that show. And I do believe that could have arguably been his best physique ever. Had he have brought that, keep in mind there was a very small time frame because the Olympia used to be in September and the Arnold is in March. There's a very small time frame here between was that October, November? So you're like 6 months between the Olympia and the Arnold. So he chose to sit the 2015 Olympia out, which brings me to another point here. You know, let me get my sheet out. Where's all this at? Yeah, so you know, he talks about believing in himself, and he said, "Who am I?" Basically, said, "Who am I to kill his beliefs or whatever?" And I agree with like Kai's very philosophical, and I believe most of the stuff he says. You do have to believe in yourself, but you're also being a little bit of a hypocrite on this too, because I don't know if you were very active in bodybuilding in 2015. Were you like really, really into it, following it at that time?
I'm following, yeah, competing though, but like for following it, yeah, I was following pretty closely.
Well, let me refresh everybody's memory. For a guy who believed in himself and believed in his dreams so much, you pulled out of the Olympia. You never signed the contract in 2015. Now, he never flat came out and said it, but he more or less said that there was, like I said, more or less, so don't quote this to be factual, because I don't want this to end up in a legal situation. But he came on his Instagram, which I followed very closely at that time, and he was physically crying with tears in his eyes. Let me rephrase this: crying like a bitch about, you know, not being able to do the show and blah 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 blah. And then even Bob was like, dude, no one told you that you can't do the show. No one's kicking you out. No one's telling you anything. So if you connect the dots on this, it means he believes he can't win, or he believes it's rigged against him. Why else would the number one contender, besides Phil, obviously that's the champ, why else would he not do it just a few days out if he's in shape? Just doesn't make sense. You make a video talking about like you're crying on video. Like, I didn't forget about that shit. So
At the
don't act
time,
like I'm a rookie to the game.
at the time, wasn't there a rumor that they wanted him to pay for his booth space or something like that, and then he didn't want to pay?
That could have been a thing too, but the thing is, every athlete has to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't Jake Wood back then. Name sounds familiar, but I think it was David Pecker. It sounds weird to say that, but I think he was the guy in charge.
Well, it might have been the Asian guy. Wasn't there an Asian guy that was in charge for a little bit?
He didn't own the Olympia.
You're
I think
right.
It was Robin Chang. I don't think Robin owned the Olympia. I think that was, it may have not even been David. I don't know who actually owned it.
I think you're right.
Robin was basically the spokesperson. He's the guy. Robin's the guy who got shit done.
Yeah.
If you had a problem, you had a question, Robin. He was the one.
Like Don Sullivan now, basically.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So basically, Dan took Robin's place, and I have no idea where Robin's even at in bodybuilding today's world. But, you know, for someone who talks about believing in themselves, now, I wouldn't be having this conversation if there wasn't one thing else said on this. I wouldn't have even been upset about this. But, you know, again, if you're going to reply to a video, make sure that you know exactly what you're replying to, because I get people who sends me stuff all the time, and it's clickbait. You know, you take a 2 hour long podcast and you clip 30 seconds out of it, and it creates rage bait is what that is. And I don't think that's what the guy in Generation Iron was doing to him. I just don't think Kai knew exactly what was said because, again, I said it in the most respectful way I possibly could, and I still stand by what I said. I don't think he was ever going to win the Olympia, no matter what. I think if Phil Heath would have broken his like let's just say Phil fell down the stairs backstage and broke his leg, and who else would have been a contender in 14 and 15? I don't remember.
Dennis, yeah.
If all these
Justin,
guys ended up with the flu and like they would have just given it to the next person in line, I don't think Kai would have won.
Justin, can I ask you a question though? I'm sorry.
Okay.
On that topic in particular, in a couple of the videos, I think it might have been Nick Strength and Power. I felt like they thought you were also saying that Kai deserved to win a couple of the Olympias, but I think you were just speaking hypothetical, right? You weren't saying that he actually deserved to win. You were saying
I didn't
if
say
he
that
did.
he should have won. What I think is, I think in 2014, Phil was a smidge off. Like, let's say 98%. I think wholeheartedly, if Phil Heath, like, when he's on in his prime, the only person that could have beaten him would have been a primetime Ronnie Coleman. That's the only bodybuilder that I know that was better than Phil Heath in his prime. But what we saw was a little bit less of a version of Phil in 2014. And I could argue that Kai won a couple of the shots in 2014. Now, that's what I was saying about 2016. Kai fixed his gut control problem, which was what he was criticized before at one point. He fixed that. It's almost like he was a new bodybuilder in 2016. You didn't make all those improvements from the end of 2015 to early 2016, which means he probably had those improvements at the 2015 Olympia. He chose not to do it. I don't understand why. I don't need to know why. It's none of my business. I don't really care. But, he went on to say multiple other things and, talking about being offensive, about like, you need to be careful what you say because you might offend someone. Well, dude, like, I never meant to offend him. I've always applauded Kai. I like his training philosophies. I don't agree with eating a pound of fish 7 times a day, but that's just my opinion. And I know he doesn't do it anymore. But like, I may not agree with everything he did, but I always respected him. I know he came from a hard upbringing, which I respect that too, the hustle and the grind that he's been through, regardless of maybe or maybe not doing shady stuff along the way. He had to do what he had to do. Like, Kai was a guy that I would say I looked up to. Yeah. And if you would ask me this 2 days ago, I would have given you the exact same answer. But if anybody's going to tell me to shut the fuck up, come and make me do it. We're going to get to that in a second. So that was his quote, that I need to shut the fuck up. Now, if anybody knows me, I ain't sitting here claiming to be, any type of MMA world champion or any shit like that. But if you do know me, you know I don't care to get rough if we need to get rough. Maybe I get my ass beat. I don't know. But I ain't afraid to find out. So if you're going to tell me to shut the fuck up, come and make me do it. Now, there'll be about 50 people in the comments. They'll say, Justin, shut the fuck up, trying to get a reaction out of me. Your opinion's irrelevant. I don't care about any of that. Because I think it's more so that I'm pissed off about it because it came from someone that I respected and someone that I meant no disrespect to. And again, this shouldn't be news to him because the whole fucking world has said this. But I don't think he should have won, but I do think his time was coming because he seemed to be aging better than Phil. Because we saw Phil did, what was it, 2016? I think Phil was sharp as hell in 2016. That was the year that I did it. I was pretty mind blown by that. But I think if Kai would have held on, whether he actually got the title or not would have been a different story. I don't think he would have. But I think I could have made a strong argument to say that was a robbery if he didn't get it. Like, Kai clearly won. Because there was Kai and Phil, and there was really not anybody else like close to either one of those guys. It was almost like who's fighting for third place, right?
Yeah.
Like literally Dennis wasn't beating Kai. Dexter wasn't beating Kai. Rami wasn't beating Kai. Bonnick wasn't beating Kai. Dallas, Cedric, all those guys, they weren't coming close to him. Phil was the one in his way. And I think if he would have continued showing up, he may have won, he may not have won, but there would have been a moment where it was like, holy shit, Kai won the Olympia, he got robbed, fuck all this. Like that's what would have happened. Not saying he ever actually knocked Phil out, but I think it could have potentially happened. So you're right. I just remember that booth thing. Maybe that was because of the booth. I'm not really sure on that. But again, I still stand by what I said. I feel like as a corporate, not a corporation, I don't even know what the IFBB is. It's a nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
As a business, you don't want your main number one ambassador with that type of reputation. Now, he mentioned previous Mr. Olympia winners having a dark past. Maybe they did. As a matter of fact, I don't even know what he's talking about. I didn't know Ronnie to have a past, Jay to have a past, Dorian to have a past. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying I don't know about it. Chances are, if they do, there's no record of it. It's not on camera. When you do shit on camera, it lasts forever. So there's a difference between that. So theoretically, all those guys, all the former Mr. Olympias could have been, or man, they could have been axe murderers, rapists, arsonists. They could have done 10 times worse stuff.
If we don't know about
matter.
it, man.
We don't know about it. We got no proof of it. It's an accusation. Accusations mean nothing. But when there's physical proof of it, like if a 13-year-old kid, I was 14 when I got into bodybuilding, but like I couldn't imagine at 14 years old if I would have typed in, Mr. Olympia, and that was the video I found. And I personally feel, again, my opinion, that the IFBB was just protecting themselves because they don't want that like hanging over their head per se. He goes on to say, like, basically my opinion don't matter because I've never won the Olympia. Neither did he. So there's that. I mean, I'll follow it. Before anybody wants to say anything, he's got 10 times the accolades I'll ever have, 10 times more trophies I'll ever have, 10 times the money I'll ever have, 10 times the following I'll ever have. But at the end of the day, Kai is also someone who kind of hypocritical here, how he talks about everyone has a voice, everyone has an opinion. It's funny because you're belittling my opinion because you didn't agree with it. But like I said, I think that's a little bit weird, a little bit strong coming from him, considering he never went back after the Olympia. It's just kind of an odd situation of how that ended, how that turned out. Like when I retired, I didn't fuck around and say, maybe I'm coming back, maybe I'm not. Now, there was YouTube videos that said I was coming back. I never said I was coming back. So there's that. But like, that's irrelevant. Kyle's a very successful person. He's done his thing. And I still applaud him for doing that. And think like I said, when I saw him last year, he's a hell of a bodybuilder still. The guy could come back and win the Masters Olympia. The guy could probably come back and maybe crack top 5 in the Open Olympia. He's that good. So I'm not going to take anything away from him as a bodybuilder. But like I said, I'm going to make one thing. I'm going to make a statement here. And hopefully this is the part that gets clipped and gets sent to him. As a matter of fact, I'll tag him in it personally. If someone, I will, if I get sent a clip of this, and hopefully someone watching this will clip this section, and I'll tag him myself. I'll post it on my own story. If you want to tell me to shut the fuck up, make me. Now, to be very clear about that statement, because I'm issuing this publicly, I want to be, just from a legal standpoint, I want to make this clear. I'm not inciting, nor am I promoting or saying I'm going to do anything violent or assault. Nothing whatsoever. Let's be very clear about that. However, when I see him again, I am going to confront him to his face. Keep in mind, we only live about an hour apart. He trains at Redcon. I go to Redcon from time to time. Eventually, bodybuilding is a small world. We're going to cross paths. And there's 100% going to be a camera rolling at the time, and I'm just going to walk right up to it, and I'm going to say, shut me the fuck up. Here's your opportunity. I'll put my hands behind my back. I ain't threatening him. Shut me up. See what you got. Shut me the fuck up. I'm right here in front of you. That's how that's going to go. and he's going to do jack shit about it. So I'm going to give him that opportunity. And it may be 6 months, it may be 6 years, but I know one thing: when I'm pissed off at someone, I don't ever forget. And he made a comment as well about offending someone. Maybe down the road they may be of interest and value to you and stuff like that. Nah, bro, you ain't ever going to be of any interest or value to me ever at this point. So, like I said, you want an apology? There's your apology, buddy. You're never going to get anything more than that. But you will get a confrontation from me if I see. So, and however he wants to handle that is how that'll go. I'm just going to call him out and tell him to shut me up if that's what he wants. Yeah. So that's pretty much, and that kind of sums it up. Like, I don't really have anything else to say about it. Like, the whole thing was not necessarily to offend the guy, not to piss the guy off, but if you're going to come at me with attacks and try to belittle me, my character, what I've done, we have a problem. So
does Kai know you personally?
I mean, yes and no. I'm going to lean more to the no side of that. Like, it's not like we don't have like each other's phone number. We don't text or we don't do anything like that. We never have, for that matter. We've spoken at shows. Every time he's been very nice, polite. Like he's honestly been like one of the nicest people I've ever been around. Of all the bodybuilders I've been around, I've only been around 2 or 3. 3 specifically that I straight up just don't like. I'm not even going to name them because they're irrelevant. He was not one of those 3. He was actually on the higher side of that list of people that I did like and did respect. That being said, like we spoke at the Arnold. I spoke to him very briefly in Australia, and he probably isn't going to recall this. I remember he did his posing routine, and his posing routines are always exotic. They're always very entertaining. And I mean that in a positive light. I'm not trying to say it in a negative light. His routines, they're different, but that's what makes them good because nobody knows how to pose today, including myself. But I remember when he came off stage, I mean, I guess this is normal for a 300-pound guy as big as he was. He was gassed so hard. Again, probably normal for putting on that type of performance out of a guy his size. I remember going up to him and I'm like, dude, are you okay? Not because I had to, because he was like off to himself. I was genuinely concerned about the guy's well-being. If I didn't like him, I probably, like, let's say this, there was, out of those other 3 bodybuilders I don't like, I was seeing the motherfucker croak over in the corner. I probably would have turned a blind eye and just went on stage and did my thing. I wouldn't have said a word. But like I said, I've always had like respect for the guy, but now apologies don't work. Not interested in hearing one. That ship sailed. Like, if he shook his hand out to shake my hand, I'm going to probably tell him to get fucked.
From listening to the podcast, I think he was under the impression that that you made those comments for like attention or views or something, yes. Right?
Yeah, he did say that. He said something about a squirrel trying to get his nut. Well, here's the thing. I didn't ask Leo to come on his podcast. Leo asked me. Leo's the one who controls the podcast. He asked the question. So, and Leo runs his own show, so I'm not saying go hate Leo because Leo's just doing a podcast, which is what everybody else does. I can't count how many millions of people that said negative comments about Kai, and he doesn't have anything to say back, but he wants to come at me. But he actually chose the wrong fucking one because I'm the one that's going to say something and or do something about it if he chooses to push it to that limit. So there's that.
Also, for the record, I'm the one that asked you to do this podcast as well today.
Yeah, like I don't go on shows asking to do people's shows. I don't have my own fucking show. So, and just for the record, I don't need the clout because here's a fun little fact, not that this is relevant to anything. As most people know, I coach, and that's what I do. I'm about, it's, what is today? Like the 8th?
The 8th, yeah.
It's the 8th of January, 2026, and I'm about to close my doors for the entire year. I'm not there yet, but I'm about 5 to 8 clients away from closing my doors for the whole year because I don't need to promote myself. So your argument about me needing clout or staying relevant, I don't need to do either one of those things. Speaking of staying relevant, why do you taunt the fans about doing the Olympia? Seems like you're the one trying to stay relevant, not me. I don't taunt people about making a comeback.
I know. Well, I know this firsthand because I'm actually the one that was was the main person convincing Justin to do podcasts with me and social media in general. I'm the one that's kind of been pushing you to do that for the last, I don't know, 6 years probably. You know, so it's like you this is not social media is not something that you really care about or care to do. This is the most open you've been as far as like being on podcasts. I think you're getting more comfortable with it now,
Yeah.
but it was never a thing that you wanted to do. It was me asking you to do it for years, and then now you're getting more comfortable doing it. Now there's more people asking to be on, but it's people asking you to be honest, right? And we're asking you questions. It's not like you're reaching out to people like, can I go on your podcast?
Yeah, and like if anybody watches my podcast and stuff, like I try my best. There's been topics of like certain people's names that I don't like, but I try my best to be as politically correct, remain neutral. I mean, I remember Leo had me on a show where we talked about my experience with Matt. That one was not very positive, and I was just being honest, but it wasn't very positive. Outside of that, like I said, when we start comparing people at shows, I don't come out and say this guy, oh, he's fucking, oh man, this guy sucks. He needs to quit lifting weights. Like I don't belittle people. Like I may be an asshole at times, but like I'm not trying to like purposely disrespect people. Like I say it straight, but I try to say it in a respectful tone. Usually, like when people say, you've heard the phrase, if people tell you I'm an asshole, believe it. People tell you I'm a nice guy, believe it. It's because of how you treated me is going to dictate the response that comes from that. So if you were nice to me, you're going to get a nice version of me. If you're a dick to me right out of the gate, don't expect anything better from me.
Yeah.
I like to match energy. So whatever you want to bring to the table, I'm willing to match it. I'm willing to raise the stakes higher.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
Are
I'm
you
a good gambler.
yeah? Are you just as shocked as me that this was taken? I don't think it was taken negatively by most of the channels though. But does it
Nobody
surprise
was.
you?
He's the only one who got
Yeah.
offended by it.
I'm actually kind of surprised because he seems very calm, and he's heard this so many times that I didn't even think he would have much to say about it. I thought he would kind of just, well, I really didn't expect any reaction at all, if I'm being
Well,
honest.
see, here's the thing. Like when he started it out, like Justin, who does he have social media? Like started you? I knew when I saw that clip, I was like, oh, he's fired. He's just trying to take shots back at me. But little does he know it. For a guy to be as smart as he is, he's too fucking stupid to realize he got rage baited into that comment. Like, yeah, he literally just got rage baited into that. Like, because if he would have actually sat down and watched the whole podcast, I don't think he would have been quite as upset about it.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's far too late for apologies or respect at this point. That's gone.
You don't think you guys would be able to like talk?
Absolutely not. I don't want to.
Really? What if he came like, hey, Justin, let's talk for a second? Would you hear him out?
Nope. No,
Really?
I'd tell him to go fuck himself. I'd say, if you want to talk, I'm going to walk away from you. If you want to follow me, I assume you want to fight me.
Really? So
If you want to start fighting, if you want to start following me, like I'll walk away. If you want to start following me, I'm going to turn around and it's going to go wherever it has to go.
So you felt like if he wanted to talk, he should have talked to you before the comments.
Absolutely, yes. Like like for example, I've had a podcast. There was we've actually talked about it. He is a podcaster, if that's the proper term, right? A podcaster.
Yeah.
So this guy does a lot of shows, and he did say something on one of his shows that I did take offense to. Matter of fact, I saw it. I'm sitting here and watching. I'm like I'm flaring my nostrils, and I was like, you know what? Send him a DM. I sent him a private message, and I said, hey, man, I don't know where you got that information. This has been like 4 or 5 years ago. It's okay. I don't know where you got this information at. but this is me. This is my channel. This is the person you're talking to. And I just want to set the record straight. He deleted the podcast. And I said, we're good, man. I said, it was that simple. Like, you said something that wasn't accurate. I just simply, I wasn't an asshole to him. I just said, hey, man, like, that's not accurate. I don't appreciate that. And it was simple. And and by the way, that guy, he still tags me and shit to this day. Like, we're good. But he didn't come at me with an attack or anything like that. Like, I've had people reach out to me before, like, okay, let me give you a good example. This didn't go the same way, but like me and Factory, people thought me and Factory were going to have beef over something. I did a podcast with
Yeah, I saw it with Armand.
Armand. Yes, I was trying to
Yeah,
think it was Leo. I couldn't remember. I've done a lot of podcasts lately.
yeah,
But yeah, it was Armand and King. And someone had kind of clipped the section out of that. And if you listen to just that section, it appeared as if I'm just throwing Fact under the bus.
yeah, yeah.
And I have not. Like, I respect Fact. And if Fact comes to me today, like, we're good. We can shake hands. I'll, and go, so I'm going to buy him a beer because neither one of us drinks. You get the idea. Like, you know what? I'll sit down and I'll watch a show with him, have a conversation with him. If I'm ever in Orlando at Kissing Me Muscle, I'll work out with the guy, you know, whatever he wants to do. Like, you know, but if you're going to just like get offended at something and then tell me to shut the fuck up, that ain't going to end so well. But like I said, I know by me saying that, there's going to be my DMs will probably get, because your podcast gets a lot of traction, whether it's more so interaction. Is that what it's called on social media? Because I'm so
Interact.
dumb.
Yeah, like to like comments and stuff. Yeah, interaction,
Yeah, we may not be getting like
engagement.
300,000 views but the engagement's there because I have people all the time that DM me and they say stuff to me and whatnot. I'm sure I'm going to get 100 DMs like, hey, Justin, shut your fucking face. Kai's better than you, blah, blah, blah. And guess what? My block list is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm not going to fire back at them because I know what their goal is, their objective is. But like I said, this could have been handled in a whole lot different manner. But anyone who tells me to shut the fuck up, I'm going to make you shut me up.
So yeah, so are you somebody who feel like once you feel like somebody disrespects you, you don't? There's no like coming
There's no
back from
coming
it.
back from it.
Oh damn, damn, that's unfortunate, man. I thought maybe you guys could
No.
could that shit out. Damn. Okay,
Not
well.
after that one. Well, it wasn't even the fact that, like, shut the fuck up. It's like you want to belittle. Like, I'm saying on the record because I saw some of the comments. Like, people's already tagged that video came out at 5:30 my time. It probably came out about 3 hours ago, 3.5 hours ago. I've been tagged at least 10, 15, 20 times. I don't even know. But like I said, at this point, I really just don't feel like there's anything that needs to be said between me and him. There's like no reconciliation from that. So it could have been like he could have just chosen to not respond to it, or he could have been like, what would be a typical Kai response? Because they said like the guy that interviewed him, and I don't know who the guy's name is in Generation. I probably should know the guy's name, but I don't.
I think it's
Um,
Vlad.
but yeah, he was like a Russian guy, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not even sure where he's from here.
I actually like the guy though. In this case, I mean, I don't have any case where I don't like him, but like he was like, yeah, because Kyle was like, is he a pro bodybuilder? So it's like you're trying to belittle my shit, and like the reality is this: Kai was always a better bodybuilder than I was. I'll call it how I see it. I'm not going to sit here and put myself on a pedestal. Like I was better than about 95% of the crop, but he was the 5% that I was never going to beat. That's just facts. That ain't opinion. That's facts. Like Kai was Kai. He was in that 5%. And I was never going to be, nor will I ever be the bodybuilder he was. Never going to win the amount of shows that he won. And I would say he's going to win, but he's not coming back. I mean, prove me wrong. You've been talking shit for almost 10 years. Prove me wrong if you want to come back. I don't have the money he's got. I don't have the accolades he's got. I don't have shit that he's got. But I still got an opinion, and my opinion is just as valid as his.
would you? I guess in the same token, but a little different year. Do you think? Do you think there's a similar reason why Victor didn't win the Olympia
Yes.
in '07?
I actually mentioned that on Leo's podcast too about
Yeah,
Victor because we were talking about politics in general. And I think that that's why, I mean, I can't think of any other reason because, in that, like with Kai versus Phil, that's like in 2014, I was like, okay, I'm going to give like 70% of the poses to Phil, maybe 30% of them to Kai, but I could have made a strong argument for Kai. And 27, say 2007,
yeah.
well, 2007, that don't sound right. Still,
Definitely.
um, I thought that was an absolute clear cut win for Victor. And I don't know. I mean, and the thing is, of all the bodybuilders I've been around, all the ones I've talked to in person, all the ones that I just know through social media, Jay may be number one. Like,
Yeah,
all around, just genuinely a great guy. But that being said, I'm still not afraid to just say what I feel on a contest. And I feel that Victor won that show. And I think Jay's even made a few comments. He hasn't came flat out and said that. Like, he was focused on business that year. He won his first Olympia in 2006 and then 2007. I mean, I couldn't imagine the amount of money that he was rolling at that time. He was probably making
oh, yeah.
2 million a year, 3 million a year. I don't know. That's just I pulled that shit out of thin air. But like, he didn't win it. He wasn't making money off the Olympia, but he's making money on those appearances, guest posings, stuff like that. And I think I can't knock a man for trying to make money, but like sometimes making money and winning the Olympia all don't always go hand in hand.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you want to win the Olympia, this has to be your primary sole purpose and sole goal. But I don't think he won in 2007. 2008 he did lose. 2009, the 2009 Jay Cutler would have been very. I don't want to say it because again, this is. I'm not saying it because I don't want to be disrespectful. Coin toss, heads or tails. 2009 Jay, any version of Phil. Coin toss. Jay wins certain poses. Phil, like those were those two versions. 2009 Jay and 2011, 12, and 13 Phil, untouchable. Besides Ronnie. Ronnie's in his own little league over here.
Yeah. The thing about Ronnie though is that, well, I guess similar to most people, all of his looks weren't spot on, but he had. Me personally, I like '98 and '99. I
That
think
was my
'98.
favorite. Yeah.
Yeah,
Streamline with a freaky amount of muscle.
exactly. '99 was basically '98, just a little bit bigger, basically. So
Yeah.
it's like I thought that was the prime. 2003. I know that's what everybody talks about, but that wasn't the same for me. I don't
That
think it
was
was
the
the same.
freaky version of Ronnie, where he was like so big, so massive, and he still had the conditioning. But I think the aesthetic factor kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
Uh,
when the '01 version of Ronnie, like I was saying how I think Victor should have beaten Jay in 2007.
uh-huh.
I think Jay should. I think Jay should have won against Ronnie in 2001, not because Jay was the better bodybuilder, but he was the better bodybuilder that day.
I agree with that.
Ronnie had, I can't remember the full story, like he ended up like passing out or some shit and chugged a gallon of water before prejudging. I don't remember what all happened,
Yeah.
but like it was not a good day for Ronnie, but this is one of those things. I mean, apples and oranges, I guess you want to say. Jay was a little bit harder, streamlined. Ronnie was a little bit off, but Ronnie also probably had him by, just based on pictures, I'm going to say 30 to 40 pounds.
Probably, yeah, probably. The thing about '98 and '99 Ronnie is that look works in any era, right? Whereas 2003, that look probably works the best in 2003, but I feel like nowadays they might be a little bit harsher on like the midsection and the posing.
Yeah.
Posing as far as how you control your midsection, I mean.
Yeah.
So whereas '98 and '99, there's no era where that wouldn't be dominant, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, he had an incredibly flat midsection. I don't know if he ever pulled a vacuum, but like you could tell when he transitioned that there was no struggle to control it. And you can always tell, like even the guys that do control their stomachs, you can tell that it's taken every ounce of energy they got to control it. Which, at the end of the day, it's a bodybuilding show. It's all visual. That's fine, as long as it looks the part. But like you could tell, Ronnie wasn't struggling in 2000, or sorry, 1998 and 1999.
Yeah. Is there any other bodybuilder that you felt like things they might have done or said might have affected potentially? Because I mean, you don't know for sure; it's just your opinion, right? I guess that's another thing. You making those comments, that's just your opinion, your point of view from what you believe. Doesn't mean it's true or not. It's just how you feel. But yeah, is there any other bodybuilder that you could think of that you felt like things they might have done other than Victor and Kai, things they might have done or said or where they came from that might have affected their chance of winning?
So we have to think about high level here, and I'm going to go on a limb and say we never saw this come to fruition. But when Sean Roden had the rape allegations against him, I wholeheartedly do not think Sean did that. All right. And I think the whole world is behind me on saying that too. I mean, there's a few people out there that, and I'm going to say it's probably women. I don't mean to pick on women. I definitely don't mean to pick on women who have actually experienced sexual abuse. But if a woman's had sexual abuse, she's going to have very, very strong feelings about the word rape, and understandably so. So, like, I get it. If any woman out there is like, cut his head off, cut his pecker off, whatever, I understand why you say that. But I don't think Sean did that. However, let's hypothetically here, if he didn't pass away and he beat the court case and he wins in court and he comes back to the Olympia, first off, I don't think they should have ever, like, maybe, I don't have the Olympia contract. I don't have an IFBB contract. I don't have any of this stuff in front of me right now, but I don't recall anything in those contracts saying that I have to be legal and clear with the law in order to compete in these shows. I don't recall that. Maybe it was stuffed in the fine print and I just simply overlooked it. Possibility. But like banning him, you're convicting him based on an accusation, something that has not been proven in court, and he's not been convicted of it. So banning him, I think, was a shit move on whoever made that decision. That was a very shitty move on their part. But I do think if Sean would have came back, and let's say, I mean, because I think Sean was like 43.
He won.
I think, yeah, he was 43 when he won. And cases like that usually last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Like a big case. And when you're 43, you're kind of like on the very back end of your career. But like I said, hypotheticals here. This is all, hypothetical. If he would have won his case and came back in 2021, that would have been 3 years later, putting him at 46 years old. If he could have either one, replicated, or two, improved upon that 2018 version, I don't think he would have won just because of that being on his record. Because so many people out there, like the fans and stuff, like, again, this is rumors that I heard that like Sean always had his motto of smile and wave, or wave and smile, something like that.
Yeah,
like I was told, I don't live out in Venice. I have no way of backing any of this up. Like, I was told he would walk through the parking lot and people would just talk shit to him, just walking from his car to the gym because of an accusation. So those accusations still exist online. Like every now and then I'll see a Sean Roden post and it's like greatest bodybuilder, best abs, best structure, rapist. I'm like, you can't really say that when he was never convicted. We all know that. I think OJ actually did it, but like we can't prove that he did it. So, you can't really call him anything.
I think that entire ordeal was just sad, completely sad. It's
Fair.
unfortunate, and the fact that he wasn't able to compete and then died is just you like to believe that
It was
life
a
is
very
fair.
terrible ending. Yeah. He got
Yeah,
screwed. He got screwed in life, is what happened.
you like to believe that life is fair, but who says like who says life is fair? A lot of times it's not, you know. And as far as them not allowing him to compete, obviously I don't agree with it, but I know why. Like we all understand why. Just from a business standpoint, it doesn't make it okay, but we know why. I
Yeah.
would. I don't know these people personally, but I guarantee you, like Jim Mannion wants him to compete. Like, of course he does. The promoters wants him to compete. Like, everybody wants him to compete, but whoever their legal team is, they're gonna be like, no, you can't have him compete. So whoever so their lawyers, everything, they're gonna be like, there's no way, there's no chance you can let him compete, and then they're gonna have to do that. I promise you. I know for like just think about it. I guess it was Josh Pecker at the time. But they all wanted to compete. Arnold was trying to get him to compete at the Arnold. Like he
Yeah, they
Arnold
said he
was,
couldn't, right?
yeah. So like all the promoters, all the powers that be wanted him to compete, but realistically, logistically, the legal team is not going to allow it to happen. Obviously, you
Yeah.
can say, well, you could override that, but it's just not something that you can do in society. Especially
You
at
can
that time.
override it. My This was always a question that went through my head back in 2018, 2019, is I wondered if he could have sued them for not allowing it, because
I think so.
this would be my argument to that. The fact that you're not allowing him to compete, and I think the prize money then was 400,000.
Yeah.
We could argue again, because we're in court here, uh, hypothetically in court, like you could argue that Sean may have had two, three, maybe even four Mr. Olympia wins left in his body, left in the tank. So that four Mr. Olympia wins would have been, well, it would have been three on top of the one he's got. That would be $1.2 million that you prevented him. And not only did you prevent him to do it, when you banned him from the IFBB and NPC, guess what? All of
Sponsors.
his sponsors leave him too. Like, I feel like he could have, again, I don't know how the IFBB set up. I don't know how law, I don't know anything. So I'm just literally speaking out my ass and some of what I'm talking about. I'm just thinking. I feel like he would have been entitled to like $2 to $3 million in compensation, but he would first, in order to do so, he would have had to have cleared his name. And I don't think Sean, I don't think Sean would have been aggressive enough to have pursued that.
I don't
And
think
the
it was.
reason I say that, I think Sean would have just taken the loss. I don't even think Sean would have sued the girl that was accusing him either. I think he would have let that go. I really do. I think he would have just said, hey, let bygones be bygones, and, let's go our own separate ways. Like, Sean was too nice of a guy. Like, this was a rumor as well that when he was signed with Ronnie Coleman's company, signed him in early 2012 when Sean was losing every show, getting, I think he got seventh or eighth at the Arnold that year. He was like that guy. It's like, well, he's got potential. But that's all everyone ever knew Sean for. Well, he's got potential. Well, later that year, he goes on to win three shows and get third at the Olympia. Back then, they used to do a matching bonus clause. Three shows, that's $30,000. In third place at the Olympia, back then, I want to say it was like 70, 75,000. I'm pulling that out of thin air because I know the winner, I think, was 200,000. So there's no way he was getting 100,000 for third place. So I'm going to say like 70 grand if that sounds logistic or sounds legitimate. So that's $100,000 that Ronnie would have had to have matched him. Well, he didn't match him because he didn't have the money. Now, if it was me and you owed me $100,000, we're going to go to court. Sorry, Ronnie, but you're going to sell your cars, you're going to sell your house, you're going to pay me the $100,000 that you owe me. Or we're going to, because you're actually suing an LLC. You're not actually suing Ronnie. I'm like, sorry, man, your company is going to go under because you owe me $100,000. You signed up for this, so now you have to deal with this. Like, I'm sorry that I got good as a bodybuilder and you didn't expect that. Sorry that you underestimated me, but like you owe me 100 grand, so give me 100 grand. But Sean didn't do that. That's why Sean went to VPX. Probably because Sean was one of my, I would consider me and Sean friends. Like there was a couple of times where we had like 2 to 3 hour long phone calls. And it wasn't about training, it wasn't about nutrition, it wasn't about gear, it was about business, like the business side of bodybuilding. Like Sean wasn't dumb when it comes to that. And I'm not going to regurgitate the number that he told me, but I know what he was getting paid through VPX, and it was good enough. Let's put it that way. It was good enough. And I would say Sean just said, "Hey, you know what? I got this over here on the side coming in. I'm getting signed immediately. This bullshit ain't worth $100,000. So let it go." I mean, not to mention, you also got to realize if you sue Ronnie Coleman, you're suing the goat. Like,
Yeah,
even if you're right, and even if you win in court, the public is going to hate you for that one
for sure.
because Ronnie can do no wrong in the public side. Even if he does do wrong, everyone loves Ronnie. And I love Ronnie. I just don't think that was right.
Yeah. Yeah, Sean didn't seem like the kind of guy that would pursue any of that, you know. But like I said, I mean, I understand from a business standpoint why you would stop somebody from competing. It doesn't make it feel any less fucked up. But I do get it. Um, I wanted to go over this post real quick. I don't even know if I should. I probably. Let me do it anyway. Fuck it.
What do we
But
got?
let me see. I gotta search now. So it was about training. Most of the comments, I guess, not the post itself, I think, that I'm more interested in, but let me see if it's still up. You probably won't be able to hear it, but it was comparing Samson's training to Kevin as far as strength. So
As far as
basically,
strength,
yeah, Samson doing a set of behind the neck presses. But I mean, the video itself isn't fair because I've seen Samson press 2-3 plates behind the neck. I think he was just doing like a superset at the end of the workout. So it was obviously the video was set up to make him look weaker than he is. But nevertheless, Kevin Levrone was stronger than Samson. I mean, Kevin was benching 5 plates. But most of the comments seem to be under the vibes that, well, this is why guys in the 90s looked better, were harder, or whatever the case is. Some people think the guys in the 90s were bigger, which just factually isn't correct. I think we can agree on that. But yeah, a lot of people mostly saying, well, it's because this training that the 90s guys were better. So I wanted to hear your opinion. Do you think the 90s guys were better? And do you think their training was better or allow them to be better in any way, shape, or form? And do you think, I'm
well,
sorry, and do you think weight actually matters as far as how strong you are being a bodybuilder?
I think you need to lift as heavy as you can, but with form being first and intensity, form and intensity both being over the poundage. So, like, if you're getting the job done with 2 plates and that's as heavy as you can go, but yet your form is immaculate and your intensity is like through the roof, I think that's perfectly fine. Now, to go back to the, well, I want to touch on it in a second, but back to what you were saying, I don't know a lot about Kevin's training. I watched the videos, but like most of Kevin's videos that's on YouTube is like motivational videos. Like I didn't buy DVDs or anything like that. So
You never watched
man,
the Maryland Muscle Machine and stuff?
I've never seen it. No.
Oh, okay.
Like whenever
Well,
Kevin, like when I started following Kevin, I was a teenager, man. I didn't have any money back then to go buy DVDs. So like I watched the free stuff that I could see online. That was kind of it.
okay. Well, for the most part, it was a variety of push pull legs, everything twice a week. But pretty much like Ronnie Coleman training, but with full range of motion. I would say better form for the most part, but lower reps. I mean, he would go down to sometimes sets of 4 to 6 reps.
I remember him
Um,
saying that he preferred the lower reps. But like Kevin was on his presses specific. I don't know what he did on legs, But
Yeah.
like Kevin on his presses was incredibly strong on pressing. So trying to compare other people to that is it's really not fair. Now, obviously, Samson probably outweighs Kevin by at least 60, 70 pounds, if I had to take a guess.
Yeah, quite a bit.
That being said, what we don't know about this video comparing these two is one, Kevin, what was he at the beginning of the workout? Was that the first exercise? Because clearly you're going to be the strongest, right?
Well, yeah, Kevin
And
usually does the presses at the beginning of the workout.
so that leads me to point number two. What if Samson had already done 20, 25 working sets? What if this was a back off? Like, it didn't look like he had much weight on there. I don't know what he had on there, but like, what if he was gassed completely? What if it was a superset? What if he had done like some type of like elbows in presses and he's superset now with elbows out? So obviously the weight's not going to be as much. So there's too much context missing to be able to make that comparison. And with that being said, it's also irrelevant. Like to put into really good perspective, people talk about density, hardness, conditioning, detail. I'm going to use Dexter. I always have to use Dexter. Dude had it all. Like he had shape, structure, always in shape. Like his muscle density, maturity, but I never seen Dexter do like he lifted with good form and he lifted with intensity, but I never saw Dexter do like a 7 plate squat, an 8 plate squat, or like a 405, 500 pound bench press. Never saw those type of numbers on any of his videos. He was focused more of just squeezing the muscle, like keeping the tension where it needed to be. He was not anywhere near the strongest guy. So, and he won an Olympia as well. So there's that. And I mean, I consider Dexter a very well-rounded, put-together bodybuilder, and he had all the tools because he did keep in mind he did compete in the '90s, and he was beating some of those guys in the '90s as well. So I mean, Dexter went through like 3 generations of bodybuilders, and he hung with every single one of them too.
Yeah.
So even though he wasn't like the mass monster, that wasn't due to lack of effort. That's called having a smaller frame. Like when you look at Dexter now that he's retired, yeah, he's smaller. Of course he's smaller. We all get smaller when we retire. But like you look at his frame, like for example, his clavicle width, he's not like if you would have looked at Ronnie Coleman, if you would have taken them both out of the gym on a normal diet, off gear for a year, Ronnie would have probably made two of Dexter just because he's a much larger man. If me and you both stop working out, you're going to be significantly bigger than me. This is what it is, right?
Mhm.
So Dexter had a smaller frame, but like he had the right density, muscle size, and he's just the example I'm using, the guy who didn't use crazy, stupid heavy weights.
Yeah. So that particular video, I actually watched the video. That shoulder press was part of a giant set he did in the middle of his
That explains
workout.
it.
So
That
he's
explains it.
doing, yeah. So he was doing like cable rear delts with like side laterals with behind the neck presses. So it's one of those
It's
things
kind of
that
like Milos' old style, right? Since he worked with Milos. Milos is like the
exactly.
giant set.
Exactly, I think that's why his muscle have like that really full round look to it, just because he's doing a lot of real like I guess higher volume kind of stuff going on. But I've seen Samson train heavier back when he was smaller, so it's like he's bigger now. So it's like that's kind of the goal, though. The goal is to
Yeah.
grow, right? So if what he's doing is making him grow, and he's 70, 80 pounds bigger than Kevin. Not that the comparison matters because strength is relevant to yourself. It doesn't really, I don't think it really matters. As far as '90s being better or not, I guess that's an opinion, but being stronger doesn't make somebody like a better bodybuilder, right?
No.
You grow from progression, yes, but progression based off of your own strength, right? So if
You
you're
know,
strong, uh-huh.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. I got to
I was
prep
gonna
it.
say, like, if I was to say the best chests in the IFBB, Samson will be one of them. Let's say Joe is one of them. Well, Joe can incline press 5 1/4. Samson can't. But they both have some of the best chest. So it's like
Exactly.
3 plates for Samson is heavy. So he works with 3 plates on chest, and that grows his chest. 3 plates for Joe isn't heavy. So if Joe did 3 plates, it wouldn't be enough. So it's relevant only for your own strength, but not compared to anybody else's strength.
Exactly.
So
the one thing I've noticed, though, a difference, like when people always say the 90s was better, or late 80s, early 90s, or even into the early 2000s, I don't have an answer for this, guys. And if anybody does know an answer to this, please inform us all, because I don't get it. If you look at some of those physiques, and you've got to really nitpick on this, because it's always the guys who, say the 90s were better to say this, but there is one thing that they're leaving out. And I'm not going to say the 90s was better. I'm not going to say the 90s wasn't better. I don't know if something has changed in like human DNA or evolution or what. Like, everybody has their own theory, because some people say it's the gear. I disagree. We don't have, I mean, up until about 5 years ago, peptides were not really talked about. And we didn't have like greater physiques 5 years ago. So the issue that I'm about to point out is still relevant. So it's not a peptide thing. It's not a GH thing, because they had GH back then. It's not an insulin thing, because they had that. And when it comes to the training, I also have to, disagree there as well, because yeah, you have some guys who train softly to be nice. And then you have some guys who train balls to the wall as heavy as they possibly can. When it comes to discipline on diet, you have some guys who just don't have it. But I know some guys that'll eat dirt if I told them to do that. And then when it comes to cardio, I know guys will skip on their cardio. And I know some guys that'll overdo their cardio because they want to be super peeled. Yeah. So I don't think those factors is really the determining factor, but pay attention to this part when you look at the 90s bodybuilders. Let's talk waist up for a second. Were they harder? Yes. Every single one of them harder. Like, you see, like the front lat spread, you'll see the pec striations, and I don't mean to bring Derek up, because he's been talked about a lot lately. Derek just doesn't have a great chest. He doesn't have a great chest. He doesn't have great biceps. He has everything else, and he's Mr. Olympia, rightfully so, in the story. But when you look at when they do the rear lat spread, you know how you see the feathering on the lower lats back in the 90s?
Christmas tree.
They all fucking had it. It was weird. They all had it. And then when you look at the quads and stuff, the guys in the 90s, most of them would have feathered quads. But when you turn them to the side and you turn them to the back, and then compare those guys to the guys of today, the guys today will have much deeper lines in the side of their quads, their hamstrings, their glutes. Like, I don't know the rationale as to why. Like, it's not like we can spot reduce body fat, right? So it's not that. But like the guys of the 90s seem to have much harder upper bodies, and they had a little bit more density. I don't know if maybe they're carb up diuretic. Who knows on that? That could have played a little bit of a factor into it. But like, they were not as lean in certain areas, but much leaner in other areas of the guys of today. And I don't know why that is what it is.
I think you said it. And it's across the board. It's literally like across the board. Harder abs, harder through the chest, harder through the quads from the front, and then softer from the glutes. And, but harder from the Christmas tree. It's like, well, your glutes are soft, but your Christmas tree is,
doesn't make sense.
But the reason I believe that happens is is pretty much the peaking, because when I worked with John O'Regan, I was much harder from the front. The separation in the quads and abs, everything was deep. But my glutes are soft. My hams are soft. My Christmas tree was in. It's like, it's the weirdest thing. And then working with you, my glutes and hams actually got harder, right? So it's one of those things that the water cut was so much harder. John would have me not drinking water for like almost 2 days sometimes and taking diuretics, right? Whereas with you, barely use any diuretics. So I think you actually have to be leaner from a body fat standpoint to have the glute and ham separation. But you have to be harder as far as holding less water to have the crazy detail from the front, for the most part. Obviously, genetics, like somebody like Derek, I think that's more genetic than anything. Somebody like Hadi, that's more genetic. But generally speaking, if you pull water really hard and you're harder, because you did say the guys in the 90s were harder, which they were, right? Harder from like they're holding less water. They're not drinking as much water. They're not as carved up. I think it shows more detail from the front for sure by a lot. But that really lean gluten hamstring, I think that's just body fat. I think the only way to get that is extremely low body fat. But just because your body fat is low, I don't think means you're super hard. You're just super lean. So I think,
Yeah.
a lot of guys today are super lean. They're just not super hard. I think
I
that's
don't
the,
understand.
yeah.
Like, I don't know why it is though. Like, just with certain body parts, that like we see that discrepancy.
I don't get why water makes more of a difference in those bodies. If anything, I would think the water would accumulate more in your glutes and hams, not your front, right? I would think, I would think being harder would make your glutes and hams look harder, if anything, right? But it seems to do the
Well, a lot of
opposite.
people will argue with me on this, or argue with us in the comments about how site injection makes things softer. We all know, or at least with everyone I know, when they take their first cycle, usually all the way to their last cycle, where's the one spot they like to pin?
Glutes, yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
like, like it ain't because like they're doing that. Like I don't think it's a site injection thing. Like I genuinely don't know, because I know a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, it's because the guys today has got their upper bodies all filled up with all this SEO," and I don't believe that at all.
I think it's the opposite. I think there were more guys in the 90s actually spot injecting, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. I mean,
Well, you can see
that's
it
what we
on a
learned.
lot of them. Like Ernie Taylor. Ernie was the one I felt like that was just like
Too much.
the triceps was like, come on, man. Like that's like I get it. You want giant triceps, you want to be impressive, but like you went a little too far with that.
Especially if the body part is already big and then you amplify it, it looks kind of ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, you look out of
Uh,
proportion.
exactly. But
Like there
I
was a
mean,
couple of videos I saw of like Nasser,
yeah.
not
So
videos necessarily, but photo shoots. You could tell he was shot up in certain areas as well.
there's an IG page. I forget the name. They post like these throwback photos and then muscle. Damn, I can't remember now. It's a really good page actually. Shows a bunch of the '90s pictures. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. It's a popular IG page. The Muscle Archive, Muscle Time, something like that. You probably if I
I've probably seen it. I'm just not online enough to actually remember it.
well they show all these pictures from these shows, incredible pictures. You gotta look crazy, but it's very, very, very obvious with the spot injection and the
Yeah.
biceps, the shoulders, the triceps. But here's the thing. I think it looks good, actually. Obviously, sometimes it's a bit much, but I don't think it looks bad. I think it looks fine. It's just that the idea of guys nowadays do it as if where did they learn it from? Like this is where they got it from. So
Yeah.
I don't like ignoring it when it happens back then, but all of a sudden when it happens today, we act like it's a big deal, right? Like we see guys with flat biceps today, like Derek with Sampson, and it's a thing. Whereas, well, Kevin Lavoni had flat biceps from the front at least, right? And it's like I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, Paul Dillette, depending on how he hit it, his biceps sometimes look flat, right? It's like I don't think it's a big deal. It's just some people have flat biceps, and there wasn't any detail in it. Okay, still look incredible. Still had big arms, like Derek still has big arms technically, all over like around, right? It just doesn't have big peaky biceps with detail. I don't think that's like the end of the world. I don't think it's like
No.
such a huge deal. It's just that's
And people
genetics.
want to think that he's got stuff in them, and I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe other people know more than me, but I actually don't think he does, because I think he's aware that there's an issue there, and if he were to start doing that, he knows it's going to make it worse. It's going to draw more attention to it, because like hypothetically, now like he's always had flat biceps since the beginning. If he shows up at the 2026 Olympia and all of a sudden he's added 3 inches to his arms and all of a sudden they're all peaky, it's like okay, well now we know you're doing shit, and you just expose yourself. So like, I don't think he's actually doing anything.
No, no,
Like
he's
when
not.
people do stuff, like I've seen it over the years. Like every now when you take like, I'm not going to name names on this because I should name the name, but I'm not going to. But like one guy showed up at the show, very consistent bodybuilder, in shape, always where he should be. All of a sudden, there was a bicep that was way the hell off,
I'm sorry.
and
Yeah,
we all knew what it was.
if
It was way
if
off.
if you've been following bodybuilding for long enough, then you would know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it was
But
way off, and that I mean, now if he followed up and said I got surgery, I'd be like, oh shit, but he didn't have surgery, so he didn't
no,
actually
it
tear
is.
it. But I will say this in his defense, he said it was an injury. I'll say this in his defense. At the 2017 Arnold, I wasn't competing. I was just running the Evogen move. And I remember I was wearing, not this one, but like this is actually not an Evogen jacket, but like I was wearing a jacket. And I know this probably sounds bad to a fan standpoint. And I know I'll probably upset some fans with it. But there's a point of mental fatigue and exhaustion that, like, maybe I just wasn't cut out to do this. And I'll just admit it. It is what it is. But, like, when you have a line of people and all day it's just like, you're posing, you're posing, you're posing. And I'm just, like, I feel like I did an arm workout just from posing. And you're not going to not take a picture with a fan and not flex your arm, right?
Yeah.
So long story short, I just wore a jacket at the expo. And I knew it pissed off Hawny. It pissed a lot because they wanted me to bring attention to the booth because I was like the biggest guy in the house at that time, at
Yeah.
that show. Well, maybe not the biggest, but I was one of the biggest. And I wore a jacket. So that way, when I took pictures with people, I could just see her all casually with my, like, put my arm around. That way I didn't have to flex. I kind of got just tired of it. Well, anyways, the night before, I landed at like 8 o'clock at night, had some flight delays, some bullshit, which seemed to be pretty typical for me when I was competing. And I remember I wanted to work out, and I didn't get the opportunity to have a real workout at a real gym. So I went to the hotel gym, and all they had was some cables. I was like, you know what? I won my first show in a gym that didn't have a barbell. I think I can figure out how to have an effective shoulder workout with just cables. So that's what I did. Like for example, started with reverse, like a reverse pec deck with cables, like reverse cable flies. Done side lateral raises and upright rows. I even took the handle, the D handle, and I'm doing like one arm presses. But I finished with a cable front raise, and I do it like with my thumb up like this. Like even if I'm doing a dumbbell, it's always thumb up. I remember I felt something felt a little odd. Didn't hurt, just felt odd in this bicep. And I'm like, oh, okay. Didn't think anything about it. Next morning, I overslept, rolled straight out of bed, put my clothes on, went straight down, expo, showed up on time. I even wore a hat too, just because I didn't have time to do shit that.
Yeah.
The one, like, as a guy who never sleeps, the one time you shouldn't oversleep is the one time I did oversleep. But I remember I was at that expo and I came back, and this guy I've known, he's actually the guy who got me into bodybuilding. Like literally when I was a teenager. He was in my room hanging out with me, and I had my jacket off, just relaxing. And he goes, "Hey man, I don't mean to piss you off, but did you put something in your arms?" And he immediately pissed me off because I was like, dude, of all people, you've known me since I was 14. Like you literally know every cycle I've ever taken. And he does. He's the one. There's about 3 people on the planet that knows every single cycle I ever took, down to the exact T. Now, whether they remember it or not, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But I told him, I was like, I don't remember getting hasty with him because like it was my friend. I was like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, so I wasn't mean. And he goes, dude, your right arm looks a little wonky. I didn't notice it because I hadn't seen myself all day. And I'm so glad I had that hoodie on. And I went there in the mirror and I was like, holy fuck, man. my arm was like, you can't really see because I have a jacket. You know, you have like this forearm muscle here on the side,
Yeah,
like it sticks up. It was smoothed over, completely smoothed over from the water retention.
yeah,
I had
yeah,
had like a brachialis tear or something from doing those front raises because it clicked on me. I was like, oh shit. And I remember my bicep, when I would flex it, it looked like I had a Greg Valentino bicep.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I, I remember there was some pain affiliated with it. Not drastic. On a scale of 1 to 10, a two, 2.5. And I was like, what the fuck is like this is not like I remember feeling it. We had a tape measure. We put a
yeah,
tape on it. It was like an inch and a half bigger, almost 2 inches bigger than the other arm due to the swelling and inflammation. So, to that guy's defense that we were talking about, it is technically possible that he had a really fucked up injury that didn't require surgery, but he may have popped it like 2 days out because it took mine about a week to go down.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, and I wore that shirt around the expo for like the rest of the whole weekend because I was like, Jesus Christ, people already think that I've got something done here, but I'm not going to give them any more like fuel to add to that because I always took pride in the fact that I never did do that. Like I've had strong limbs, like arms, shoulders, legs, quads. Like if I was going to put something anywhere, I needed to put it in my back because that was the area that was lagging. But you
Yeah,
can't really
yeah.
do your back.
I think a good way to tell is consistency. Like just looking how consistent that body part has been throughout the years. It's hard to pin a body part regularly and for it to always look the same all the time.
Yeah,
You know, I
exactly.
think that because there's been a couple people that uh, I might just say the name, but I thought this guy was pinning his quads. The guy that Spanish guy that recently. This was before he started doing well. What's his name? Damn. What's the Spanish guy that Johan
Oh yeah,
Johan
yeah.
because his sweeps are so high and pronounced, right? So off season it looks weird, but seeing him this year on stage and then seeing how consistent it's been, I don't think he pins quads anymore. I don't actually think he pins
Yeah,
quads.
if it's consistently 1 year to the next, it's that's just the shape of the muscle, and it is what it is.
I think some people have uh strange looking body parts. What's his is Juan? Is it spelled Juan? How is it spelled? You know how
I
let me
really
see.
so I've had 3 or 4 people now actually like voice note of how his name is pronounced, and I just it's not sticking, like it's not registering in my brain of like how to pronounce it.
I still can't get it. Oh, this not. Oh, this is not him. This is not him. But Johan Priscilla, no, not Priscilla. Okay,
Where
I
is he
thought I
at?
just saw him. What the fuck?
No, it's Joan. I don't see him there.
But that's his last name, right? Isn't his last name Priscillus or
No,
something?
it
Oh,
starts.
Perdels. Okay, Perdels. Okay, I don't know why. But yeah, for a long time I was like, no, he's for sure pinning the quads, but I really don't think so. But I think off season is when it looks on stage. It looks fine to me. I think his off season for some reason looks. If I can find, see, I can find one that he's a little fluffier. But yeah, but like that looks fine to me. I think he has a very pronounced sweep. Like Dennis Wolf had a very pronounced sweep actually.
Yeah,
You,
yeah.
you
Dennis
could
was
have,
tall and he had great legs.
yeah. You could have assumed that with Dennis too if you weren't careful, just because the sweeps are so crazy. But I
No,
think some
I
people
never did with Dennis because it was always consistent every single time.
and his sweep was full though. His sweep wasn't like short. He had like a big sweep from the hip. You know, yeah, but like his legs are sweeping up here. It's like you would have to pin every spot down. It just wouldn't. I don't think it would be realistic.
You would definitely start seeing some signs if he were doing that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
but
possible. Back to I'll defend Natalia on this for a second. Like, you can grow your quads; they can get bigger. If the shape changes, that's a different story when the shape starts to change. But
yeah,
like hers just look like they got bigger. Now, I know people's gonna like make a big stake out of that, so I'm not gonna go into it, but like, I bet you this guy had the same shape in his quads 100 pounds ago. That's
He did.
smaller.
He did actually, yeah. So you see how this could look suspicious just because how pronounced it is, but
Yeah.
I think this is old actually. I don't think this is a recent. Uh,
I will say
uh,
this. If he was gonna pin anything, he needs to be pinning those calves.
yeah, he should have. He should have been.
Because his
Well,
quads are so big, it appears he's probably got good calves. His quads are so big you can't tell it.
that's another thing. Like people generally aren't gonna pin their best body part. You know,
No, it wouldn't. It would not make sense at all.
I heard so many times that Ramy used to pin his quads, and I don't know if he did or he didn't, but I just don't see how that would make any sense whatsoever for him to pin his quads.
My only argument, and I'm not arguing with you or against you, but the
Yeah.
only thing with him is we did see those two little divots,
Oh,
and
we,
I
we
don't know
saw it.
what that was. Like, I mean, an injection don't leave a divot, so there's that. Now there is a possibility that scar tissue, nerve damage, that's a possibility. I don't know, but the only thing I'm going to say that is or was questionable about his quads was they didn't have the deep, detailed lines and separation that we would expect. Like even when the rest, like when his glutes finally got in, his quads was not like the rectus femoris specifically that area, like the top of the quad.
Yeah.
It didn't separate the way that I would like it to. But on the flip side of that argument, it was that way his whole career consistently. So it could have just been a genetic thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, nobody will ever know. Everyone's got their own opinion about it, and that's just that. It's just an opinion.
I mean, I'm sure he's pinned something in it before, like at some point. But just when I say pinning,
Well,
uh
you mean like actual SEO?
no, like even if it's gear, but when I say pinning, I'm talking about specifically like as like I don't consider gear like pinning a body
I
part.
don't
That's
either.
just gear. Yeah, that's just pinning. That's just pinning the gear, But yeah, SEO is. I don't think it would have been a smart move, but Kuwait did use SEOs. They used the water based one in particular from what I've been told the metaphor.
No, there's another one that I heard. It's not. Let's say this. It was. Give me a few minutes to think about it. I will remember it. Again, this was actually people who have never been there and don't actually know. So it could have all been just hearsay talk. For the life of me, I cannot remember what it was, but I'll tell you what it does and what it was meant to do.
Okay.
So this particular product, it is an injectable form. When someone told me, "Hey, this is what's going on over there," and I'm like, "What the hell is this?" So I Google it, and I'm like, "Man, I've seen that on, what a list looks like, right? When people send you lists." I'm like, "Oh, I've seen that before." I was like, "What is that anyway?" It's like, this is probably 2016 range. This is 26. Yeah, 2016, because that's when Abdullah followed me like a puppy dog to try to get me to come over there, and I refused. Um, that's a whole nother story. I didn't refuse because I was being a dick. It didn't sound like an incentive to me. But I remember looking this particular product up, Caverject. That was it. Caverject. Look
Wait,
that
the shit
up.
that you pin in your dick?
Yes.
Oh, could they give you a pump? They give you a pump.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, that's like it's like when people take Cialis pre-workout, it works great. So like injectable
Yeah.
Cialis.
I was
I'm not.
told that like whatever you would train that day that you would pin that there. And I'm like, I mean, if it's
Sounds like
side
it would
effect
work.
free, I mean, sign me up. But if I'm just thinking out loud, like I've never heard of that been done before until that conversation. I was like, we already put a lot of shit in our bodies. We already do that. So it's like, why are we adding this to the mix as well? Because it's not permanent. Like it'd be different if like you said, hey, you're going to add this in, you're going to gain 10 pounds of muscle. I'm like, fuck the side effects, let's do it. Like, but if you're
That
telling me it's temporary and it's going to potentially cause me, I don't, I couldn't tell you what organ processes that. I couldn't tell you, I couldn't tell you anything about it. But like, if it's going to cause me any damage, all for temporary results, I'm not interested.
it sounds like it would give you a crazy pump. A crazy
Oh,
pump. Yeah.
I'm sure it would.
I mean, the best pumps by far that I used to get was Cialis, and I would pin the IGF Des, and that would be the pump would be so much that it would be counterproductive because I couldn't even finish the workout.
I have done that on a not the IGF desk part, but I have used the other one
Cialis.
maybe 4 or 5 times for bodybuilding purposes. Now I've used it for the other reasons, just not because I needed it, but because sometimes it can
Why not?
amplify things. Sometimes it
Yeah,
can really spice things up a little bit.
yeah.
Um, but as far as like using it for bodybuilding purposes, my rationale behind that, and I may be totally wrong on this. This ain't even bro science. This is just Justin's head that's overthinking. I never wanted to use it pre-workout or use it for bodybuilding because I was just thinking, I don't want my receptors.
Me too.
I don't want my body to be like already, like getting used to this because there may be a day that I need this for what it was designed to be for and it not worked. I'm like, man, that
Bro,
would that would suck.
I always say that, but like people always say, "Oh no, I use it all the time, every day, 5, 10 milligrams," and I'm like, and they're like, "No, no, it's not gonna do that." I'm like, "How would you know if you use it every
Yeah, they
day?"
don't know. They
You
don't
just
have no idea. I mean, and they may be right. And for their sake, from one man to another man, I hope that they're right because I don't. That's like
I don't want to take
I
the
would have to.
chance.
I would have to really hate you to wish that for you.
Yeah,
I'd have
it's
to
not a
really
chance.
not like you.
It's not a chance I'm willing to take. Like I use it for that purpose. Oh shit! Justin disappeared. Oh, there you go. Well, that was
Yeah, it was that side
yeah,
button.
that
Yeah,
happened.
you said it's not a chance.
Oh, yeah. I don't like to take those kind of chances. Like the most I'll use it probably is like once a month, once every few
Yeah,
weeks. Just, I mean, I don't think you should even need it every day. Like what are you trying to prove at that point? Like who are you having sex? If you're having sex with your girlfriend, she already knows what you're about. You don't gotta impress her every day to that extent.
yeah.
She'll be fine. So I can see you using it like if you're single maybe, and maybe just like a new girl you want to impress, or like maybe it's Valentine's Day or birthday or something. But like, why do you need it every day? I don't think you need it every
I
day.
don't. I don't know. Like I have a friend of mine, and I know for a fact he's going to watch this video too, and I know I'm going to get a text right afterwards. But I definitely can't name his name, and not that it would be relevant anyways, because he's not in the bodybuilding scene.
Yeah.
But he texted me one day, and he goes, "Dude, I'm feeling like he telling me some side effects, and he taking Viagra." And he goes, "Dude, what's the most you can take on that?" And I was like, "Okay, Google how much, like, because I don't fucking know. Like, I know they come in 50s, I know they come in 100. So I was like, let me Google this shit, and it said like, do not exceed more than 100 milligrams a day.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
was like, well, it says 100 milligrams, man. He goes, fuck, dude. He goes, mine are 200 milligram tablets, and I took 3 of them in one day.
Yeah.
I was like, you may want to actually like watch your heart and watch your blood pressure. I was like, dude, you now that's what he was doing. It's like he was trying to impress by just going all day long. And I'm like, first off, you didn't need to tell me that. But like, I'm happy for you, bro. Like I really am. I genuinely am happy for you. Like you also need to think like that was fun today. You need to live to be able to do that tomorrow, the next day, and the next day, and so forth. You don't need to die today, so don't do that shit anymore. Like if you live through this, just do one. If you need it, just do one.
See, I was actually always scared to take Viagra. I always did Cialis Because Viagra, I would hear. I don't actually know if it happened to anybody I know, but I would always hear about like your boner might just stay like that, and then you would have to get it taken out, like the blood drawn.
Oh
That was like
shit!
they were like if your
I
erection
would.
lasts more than an hour.
I had a guy, and this was a client of mine, and I'm going to say I've been coaching for 2026 now. I started in like I had my very first client in 2011. I really don't think that counts, but like I would say I started helping people more consistently around 2012. So let's just say I got 14 years of coaching experience, 14 to 15. I've had one guy, and guess what? He says he didn't use anything like this, and I'm going to say he's a high profile individual, or at one point was. I'm not
Yeah,
going to say if this was in the beginning of my career or the beginning of my coaching or at the end of my coaching, because I definitely don't want him out there. Like, I don't want people DMing or laughing at him. But he sends me a message one morning and he goes, "Hey, man, I know I'm supposed to check in today, but I can't. I'm on the way to the ER." And I was like, "Oh, fuck." He's like, "Are they okay?" And that's what he told me. He's like, "Yeah, I got to go get this drained." I'm like, "Are you fuck?" He's like, I can't send you check in photos with this." I'm like, "Well, I do appreciate that part. But like, are you okay?" Like, I've never heard of anyone having to get this drained. And he told me he never used it. I don't know how that's possible. I don't know what happened. Maybe he's got a genetic deformity. I don't know. Like, I honestly, I felt awkward even having the conversation. But unfortunately, like he was as part of coaching. Sometimes you get not intimate, but you get like into deep detail.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, he told me some shit, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
Well, speaking of that, one of my clients actually broke his dick. Broke his dick. So
I don't know
he,
why, but it's not even funny.
yeah. And then I know his girl. She's like tiny, and I'm like, what could he was like she was on top, and I'm like, well, I could see you breaking somebody's dick on top, but like, what the fuck was she doing to me? Like, and that's a
Is it
concept.
permanent?
Well, he had to get surgery. He had to get surgery. But see, in my head, I'm like, the dick isn't. It's not like it's blood. So I'm like, how can you break it? But apparently, like, there's ligaments in there when it's erect that you can break it. And he actually sent me a picture. Believe it or not, he actually sent me a picture. And I would have preferred not to see the picture because honestly, it was like it kind it kind of what's the word, like the traumatized. I guess it kind
Yeah.
of traumatized me. Like I didn't want to have sex, bro. Like just I had this fear that I was gonna break my dick, and it looked like
It's a good fear to have, I guess.
it looked like a fucking what's the what's the fruit the like an eggplant, like a swollen eggplant, but like cricket.
Oh,
And
about to joke on there when you mentioned fruit.
let's not do
I
it.
wanted to.
But what he told me is they basically like peeled his dick like a banana in order to do the surgery. So, but this guy's
Oh,
hard. Yeah, this guy's hardcore. He was coming to the gym with he came back maybe like a week later with the what's the bag? Is it colostomy bag? What's the piston? Or like a catheter, and he
a
was like peeing
Catholic.
in a he was peeing in like some kind of bag or something. He had a
Yeah.
piss bag with him, and he would drain it. So I gave him that for working out. I don't even know if I would recommend that, but he did it.
I don't think that would be safe. That just seems like an infection waiting to happen.
And the pressure, putting pressure on your body, which is after dick surgery, is the whole thing is crazy. But he said his dick wasn't the same. He had like scars and stuff on it, and it just looked fucked up. He didn't send me a picture after the fact. I didn't want to see the picture, but he said he wanted to get like cosmetic surgery to fix it. But his girl didn't want him to get it. She's like, "No, I'm fine with it. Who needs to see your dick? Leave your dick scarred up."
I
She
mean,
wants his dick to be fucked up.
I have to agree with him from that standpoint, or from her standpoint. I probably would just say leave it as it is. Like, I'd be like, I've already had enough trauma here. I don't want no more.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like to be fair about it, like there's not many things. There's a lot of things that'll get me riled up, maybe get me angry, maybe get me sad, maybe get me depressed. But there's very, very few things that would put me in like a suicidal mode. But that might be one of them.
That's not. It's just not okay. It's just a. That's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. You know.
If I just woke up one day and I found out it's not and it's broken, like it's just
Yeah.
fucking broke, like it's not that you can't do it, but you can't do it because it's
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I tried to go to the doctor one time, be like, hey, is this fixable? And if it's not fixable, I'd be like, all right, well,
Might be out of there.
you ain't getting paid for this because you ain't gonna be able to sue me either. Like, you're not gonna be able to find me in about 4 hours.
Yeah. But yeah, if I was traumatized by a picture, if it happened to me, I don't know if my sex life would ever be the same again because it would always be in the back of my head. And obviously, he said it was really painful. Like he was
I'm sure it
yelling.
was.
He said he was bleeding. He was yelling the whole nine. And I'm like, yeah, that would traumatize me. I don't know if it would anything would be the same again, you know. But he said everything went back to normal as far as performance, which is kind of hard to believe. But apparently, this happens. This is kind of common. It happens a lot.
I would have had to have broke up with her.
Yeah,
I'd be like, I can't, like, even like, no matter who it is, I just have to be like, look, after what you just put me through, even though you probably didn't mean to do it, I can't feel the same anymore. Like it
It's
works, but
different.
it don't work for you no more.
Yeah, would it be? And from her point of view, is she going to be traumatized? Right? Maybe she might be a little
I mean,
traumatized.
I personally would have never told that story to anyone. Like, if I was your client and that actually happened to me, I would probably call and be like, "Hey, look, man, I got some financial struggles. I'm gonna have to take a break from coaching.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm promised I'm coming back in about 6 weeks or whatever." But I
yeah,
would have
yeah.
to just pull the plug on it at that time.
To be honest, he was so laid back about it and chill about it. It's kind of shocking because I don't think I would have been able to go back to the gym that soon. I wouldn't be that comfortable. He was telling people at the gym, like literally telling people at the gym what happened. I don't think I would be that comfortable speaking on it or even thinking about it or even. I think I would be a lot more traumatized than he was.
Maybe it was a
Honestly.
point of pride that he just feels like it was so rough that he broke it. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, that's my only rationale because most men, well, I can't say most men because I've never had this conversation with another man before ever. I'm just
Yeah,
thinking for myself, I'd be too damn embarrassed to talk about something like that. And I'm usually pretty
yeah,
wide open about stuff. But like that, I mean, we're talking about it right now because I haven't experienced it. If I did experience it, you wouldn't know about it because I wouldn't tell you.
yeah. I don't think I would. Yeah, not because I'm shy. Just that's a really sensitive and personal and traumatic experience. I feel like I just wouldn't want to. I wouldn't even want to revisit it in my head. I would
Nope.
just out of sight, out of mind. I don't think anybody would see me with a piss bag. I would not leave my house. He has like he makes good money. I don't think he would. I think he can take a month off and be fine.
Yeah.
He runs a company. I probably wouldn't leave my house in 4 months. I mean, in like at least like a
I would
month.
put a backpack on, put that bag inside of it or something.
Thank you. And
And just
just
if
just
anybody,
forget
if
about
I was the owner of the company and somebody asked me what's in the backpack, I'm like, shut the fuck up and go back to work.
it.
Don't ask no
Yeah,
questions. I'm in a bad mood. And I'm going to
no,
be in a
don't worry
bad
about
mood for
it.
the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Just be in and out. Just come in. Just come in. Make sure everything is good. You go back home. You know.
Yeah, that's what I'd have to do at that point.
All right, man. I appreciate you for coming on. Hopefully, maybe I can get Kai on. I can hash it out on the podcast.
Nah, I don't need to be on a show with
No, no, I'm just messing with you. But yeah, that's kind of
somebody. I
unfortunate,
guarantee
man.
you, somebody will see this because I don't know if you remember. I don't know what he did to be able to make these two come together. I don't think it proved any point. But do you remember when
I saw it. Yeah, I remember.
Hunter Labrada and like Brian
His, tra-
is it
his, old, his old training
Stroke of the
partner.
T? Yeah, and then Nick Trigilli got him on a podcast together somehow.
That was hard to watch, kind of. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, yeah, because that's just one of those things where like you can tell these two guys don't want to talk to each other,
Yeah,
and it just wouldn't be like I would unless you had some type of like dirty blackmail on me or something. And even then, if you had blackmail, you might not want to use it because that's also illegal to blackmail someone. But
yeah.
like, I would just be like, I'd be like, nah, man, I'm good.
Watching that video interview, it just seemed like a conversation that needed to be had off air. I even felt like Nick Trigili himself was a little uncomfortable, even though he's very hard to make uncomfortable. But I felt like it just seemed like a private conversation that needed to be had. It seemed really personal and like
Well, Nick
private.
knew it would get a lot of views though, because I mean
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
how at the time Nick was running that YouTube channel, Bodybuilding and BS, and if that's your primary source of income, you need the views. I mean, he may have made $10,000 off that video. I don't know. I don't know how much money he made, but still,
that channel. It's like I hated it, but I couldn't help but watch it. It's the weirdest
it
thing.
was similar. Like when he had the channel, like drama is it can be interesting and it can also be annoying at the same time. And he had a little bit of both. Uh,
Yes.
Nick, I want to say, like, I don't think Nick BS is too. I mean, even though it's called bodybuilding and BS, I don't think Nick bullshits too much. But the way sometimes he words things, he clickbaits you into watching it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
like, I watched the video and I'm like, man, that was not what I was expecting. I was like, fuck, I'm not watching this channel no more. And then
Oh
I'd
yeah,
watch it again a couple days later.
he would do that all the time. Yeah, that was like his thing.
He
He was
was
just
like the
clicking.
goat of clickbaiting.
He was, but um, the only I think I don't like negative news when it's like when it's done in bad faith, but also when it comes off personal. Where like I don't like this person, so I'm gonna bash them extra. If you treat everybody the same, just put the news out there. I don't mind that actually. And I felt
Yeah,
like Nick most of the time did that. I could tell when he didn't like somebody though,
he
and
didn't like
that
Ian for sure.
no, yeah. So that like those episodes, I didn't like when it was like a personal bashing, just because it's like you just don't like the person. That's it. It's almost like that's not really news.
He didn't like
But
Ian and he didn't like Matt, but I understand his hatred towards Matt because, like, apparently, I don't know the extent of Nick and Dallas's like friendship, but like, apparently they were pretty close, according to Nick. I can't. Dallas never said anything to me about it, but like me and Dallas kept minding Dallas's business between me and him. So like, there's that. But yeah, I mean, I could see like if I thought some coach killed one of my friends and didn't want to take any responsibility to it, I could definitely have a grudge against that person.
if you yeah, if you believe that,
So
I would
that's
definitely
where
agree.
I mean that's on a whole other level. So like I can't bash Nick for going after Matt on that. And the thing is, I don't think Matt did it, but I can see how Nick would think that.
Internalize that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different. That's a different story. I mean, and that's a story, unfortunately, that none of us will ever know the full truth to.
No, no, there's no
Only
way
way
to
we'll
know.
know the full truth is if somebody ever gets Dallas's phone and gets it open and unlocked.
Yeah,
If that phone gets open and unlocked, and his Instagram DMs get open, then there's going to be a lot of truth.
yeah, yeah. But you
His
know,
page is still active.
this is true. At the same token, we're all grown and nobody can really make you do anything. Now, guidance is important if you're young, especially. So there could be bad influences possible, but it's influencing something that you kind of want to do anyways for the most part, you know? So it's like when it comes to that, sometimes it's just shit luck, man. Some people don't have the genetics to survive bodybuilding, unfortunately, sometimes, you know. You know, that's unfortunate. You know, I don't think a lot of times there is anybody to blame. Some people are mad at Dallas. They'll be like, "Well, he should have stopped," and it's like, I mean, he could have, I guess, but he's young. You know? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
think
get
when
it.
you're young, like you just don't. I remember, like, I mean, I had my bike up one time. I had a built R1, and because of my body weight, it wouldn't go as fast as I wanted it to go. But like, I would get to about one. It was like low 170s, I remember doing over 170 miles an hour with no helmet.
Yeah,
Like, that's got to be the dumbest damn thing of all the shit I've done in my life. That's the dumbest thing I've ever done, ever. All it would have taken is a 3 mile an hour gust of wind to like put me off my track, and I would have been toast. But like when you're young, you don't think about that kind of stuff, and I really didn't do outside of PEDs. I didn't do any recreational drugs. Like it's just like the guys that OD on coke or fentanyl or whatever they're over. They don't think like they're not thinking like
no,
that death is a possibility from this.
doesn't even
They
cross
just
the
think it
mind.
as a fun time and a good time. And at the end of the day, like with Alice's death, like I'm not happy that he's gone, but in a way, I'm happy he went out the way he went out because I feel like he went out happily, if that makes sense. I feel like
I
he went
actually agree
out
with that.
doing exactly what he wanted to do. Like I feel like that kid, if a doctor would have told him, hey, you have to stop bodybuilding, you can't do this no more, I feel like it would have just sent him into a depression and he may have lived another 15, 20 years, but he would have lived a miserable 20 years.
Or he might have died worse, maybe doing recreational drugs. So who knows? Or you
Yeah.
never know where that route could go. If you're depressed enough, things can go really south. So I know some people won't get that. It's like Fuad wanted to go back on the bike. Some people don't get that. They're like, why would you do that? Well, it's the one thing that brings him peace. So if you're going to tell him he can't do that, he's not willing to not do it. And it would be selfish to tell somebody, stop doing it for me. It's not about you. It's about him. His life is about him at the
Yeah.
end of the day. So it's up to him to do what is going to keep him at peace. Us, we can say, well, I want to watch your content, so I don't want you to get hurt. It's like, who are you to say this, right? It's not
Yeah.
your place. So if that's what he really wants to do, go for it. I mean,
Well, I
who can
mean,
stop
I
him?
can relate because I can't swim, right?
Oh shit! Yeah, you did tell me that. Yeah.
And I had a near drowning experience when I was a kid. As a matter of fact, I was probably within seconds of actually passing away. Like
Yeah.
I was out. I went unconscious. I was underwater. My cousin actually pulled me out of the water. And I don't know if they did. I don't know if he just pulled me out and I came back to life. I don't know if he did the chest pump. I don't know. I just remember rolling over on land and I had water coming out of every hole in my head. And I was like coughing, gagging, puking. And after like 10, 15 minutes, I kind of like started feeling normal, but I was so shook up on it. But that being said, it's like any rational person would say either one, I'm going to learn to swim, or two, I'm never going to get near the water again. I never learned to swim because now I have a phobia of it. But my peace is when I'm on the ocean. Like, so I own my own boat, and sometimes I go out with friends, and sometimes I go out by myself.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I go out by. I mean, here's how I look at it, though, man. I have like about 3 or 4 guys that I fish with, and unless there's like 3 or 4 people on that boat, like I'll tell, like if it's me and one other person, I'll just straight tell them, like, hey, man, if I fall overboard, let me go. Just let me go. Because if you come in after me, there's a good chance I'm going to pushing you down to try to keep myself up. And I'm not doing it because I'm trying to kill you. I'm doing it because I'm panicking so hard, like I'm in a manic mode. And I was so unless there's like 3 of you, like each one of y'all grabs one of my arms and pulls me up like this, like y'all probably should just let me sink and let me be because we're both going to die if you jump in after me.
Yeah, yeah.
So like
Well,
I tell people that, and I mean they look at me like I'm like absolutely fucking crazy, but I'm like, look, man, this is my piece, and if I die on the ocean, if I ever go missing, which by the way, they had 2 boaters go missing over in Naples area, Sarasota, like 2 weeks ago now.
yeah, yeah.
There's a conspiracy behind that. That's a whole different story. People on this show probably wouldn't understand or know anything about. But I always say this: like if I ever go out fishing, I've told everyone that I love this. Like if I go out and I don't come back, you can be sad, but also be happy as well because know I died doing something that I love doing. Like
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
didn't, I didn't get in a damn car crash. I didn't panic to my death. I didn't die of cancer. I didn't die of any. I didn't die of dementia. I didn't die of an organ failure. I didn't die of anything. I just straight up died doing what I love.
You see, people mistake being at peace with death means that you want to die. It's two completely different things.
Yeah, I don't want to die,
Yeah.
but like my peace is the ocean, and if the ocean decides it wants to take me one day, it's going to do it, and there ain't nothing I can do about it.
I think everybody should learn how to be at peace with death because it's gonna
Oh, I've done
happen.
that too. I've done that too.
Yeah. Well, because it's gonna happen, right? We know for a fact one thing that will happen is we're gonna die. So it's
That's the
like,
only guarantee that we have in life. That is an absolute 100% guarantee.
so it's almost best to be at peace with it. Do whatever it takes to stay alive. But I guess it makes more sense now. From like I used to hear stories of people with cancer not wanting to do chemo and stuff like that. And I was like, why would you do that? But until I learned what chemo entails and the pain and suffering of chemo, and then I'm like, oh, now I get it. It's like people just want peace, I think, and I think being at peace with it is a good thing, not a bad thing. You know.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually been around anyone that's had to deal with like cancer stuff, but I mean, I hear it's painful, but I can't relate to it. I don't know.
There's levels to it. Some people take pain pretty well, and some people before you go it's pretty bad. But I feel like they're out of it. I don't even know if they know the pain they're going through. It's hard to say. But
Yeah,
it's at that point, dying is a good thing. So it's like it's the better
yeah, I feel like
time.
they're better off. As much as sad as that sounds, it's one of those things. Like I've only known, as of now, I've known three. No, I lied. I got four. Hers really don't count because it was ovarian cancer. Most people beat ovarian cancer.
Yeah,
But technically, if you include that, I've known four people that's went through cancer, and one of them, I was actually kind of friends with him. The other ones, they were past it before I knew them. But
okay.
like one of them refused to talk about his experience. Like he still to this day will not talk about it at all.
And
And he got it early too, man. He got it like in his 20s.
yeah, that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough.
It went on for about a year and a half, and I'd send a message maybe like once a month, be like, "Hey, bro, hope you're doing good." And
Yeah,
I just get a message back, "Yep, hanging in there, fighting every day." And like anytime I would like beat around the bush to want to talk about it, just immediately, no, I don't want to go there.
yeah.
I was like, okay,
I
I
get it.
respect it. Like, I guess from my end, I was just wanting to understand, but also people have a different way of viewing things and, their own private life. I didn't press, but
Smart,
he's
smart.
alive. He's happy. He's well. Runs his own business now.
Good, good. Well, I hate to end it on that note, but I gotta go train my client. I gotta go
Oh, I
train my
got you,
client.
bro.
But all right, thanks for coming on, man. But I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully have you back on soon. Hopefully this ends here, and then it doesn't go any further than that.
Well, I'll take this, and maybe when you splice some of this together, maybe try to splice. I mean, you always do like some type of like promo to it, right? Like a preview.
Sometimes, yeah, for the most part, so here and there.
So I will say this is going to be like I said, my first issue here was not a shot. It was not an attack. It was not meant to be offensive. It wasn't meant as anything. Obviously, it turned out to be that way. This one was a clap back. This was me saying, fuck you. But that being said, I will not be clapping back anymore. I'm not going to say anything other than the fact that I will have a confrontation at some point. But I'm not going to sit here and be a little girl and have fucking internet drama. But like he said, she said, we need to get on a show. And then if three more videos surfaces about how Justin's an asshole, whatever, I'm just going to ignore them all because it don't mean anything to me. I
Yeah,
felt like this one was personal. So that's why I clapped back on it. Because, I mean, people talk shit all the time. And I just ignore it and go on. But this
yeah.
one, I kind of felt like it was a little bit more personal, so I felt the need to clap back on it. But again, I'm not gonna continue that process. So this is pretty much my first, final, and last statement on that. So there
Sounds
won't
good.
be an ongoing issue.
Okay, good, good, good. All right. All right, because we don't want too much negativity in the sport, but I mean, this is something that he made it personal, so you felt you had to, make sense. It makes special sense. All right,
Yeah, I
Justin.
mean, when you take personal attacks, I mean, expect a response from that.
Yeah, I do understand that. I do understand that. All right, brother. You already know, man.
All right,
Enjoy the
man.
rest of your
See you
day.
later.